What's good, everybody? So a couple of months ago, probably now, I went to an old antique store downtown where I live at to try to find basically some cameras or some lenses or something like that. That was the whole intent. Now this particular store had lenses, but it didn't have any cameras, unfortunately, because everybody bought those out. You know how that whole mob is. But anyway, they had lenses. So he had one lens that he showed me, but then he said he had a bag that had a couple other lenses that came with him. With the bag, I guess it was somebody's bag, and they had, pawned it all or whatever to this antique joint, or maybe in a relative. I don't know, because there was a lot of his relative stuff in his shop, toys and everything. It's pretty neat. But anyway, so I asked to look at them, and I checked them out, and I was like, okay. So I started looking at them. So the three lenses I got consisted of a 135mm 2.8 all manual lens, a 50mm 1.9 manual lens, and a 28mm f2.8 manual lens. At least they're manual for me. So I'm gonna talk about these lenses real quick, so bear with me. You might get a little history lesson on some of them, but just, bear with me. So the first lens is a focal 135mm f2.8. I don't know nothing about focal, had never heard of them before I saw this lens. So I'm gonna read from my phone, and I'm gonna tell you about it. So if I'm looking down, that's why. So basically, focal is like a third-party lens, and they made lenses, they probably still make them, from Minolta, Nikon, Canon, and Pentax, which explains why these lenses I have here, at least two of them, are M42 mounts, screw mounts. Those are screw mounts with a little nib sticking out of them. The brand was evidently sold by Kmart as like their house brand. M42 mount, which is what I have, and the K mount, which is the Pentax. I guess I answered my own question. I also had Minolta and Canon varieties, but that's all he had. So that's what I have for that. And that lens is right here. And it's actually the 135. This is in pretty good condition, relatively speaking. The grip is failing a little bit. I tried to glue it back, it wouldn't stay, but everything else works fine. It's real smooth. It has all the little numbers on it. All the little neat diagrams that, we like to see on lenses. It's a good lens, M42 mount. So that is the focal 135mm f2.8 lens. And it's in good condition. The element's in good condition. It's real clean. Really good looking lens. So even if I couldn't use it, I would keep it anyway because, it's really clean, and I cleaned it off, but good condition. That lens came in these little leather cases, which has like velvet or felt inside of there. I had to do some maintenance on this one because it was coming apart a little bit, so some hot glue, it took care of that. But yeah, it came with this little case, and it had a little handle. So if you wanted to carry it, if you had your camera on your neck and you wanted to carry this, you can carry it, I guess, like this. I don't know, but regardless, the case is pretty dope. The next lens I have is this Sears 28mm f2.8. This is pretty neat. I love this lens. This is the cleanest of the cleanest lenses. It's in dang near perfect condition, but it's made by Sears, which, if you don't know, Sears is a company that has since went out of business. So I'm gonna read some facts on it that I found that you might find interesting. I only got 3 facts on it. So one, these Sears lenses, this lens in particular, or at least the Sears lenses in general, were made by Ryco, and Ryco makes like the GR5, I think is what it's called. But anyway, so Ryco made this lens, and that's pretty much all I got. That's all I have on that one. But this lens is clean. It's really clean. It's a 28mm, so while you can spend, anyway, we'll talk about that later. So that's all I have on that lens. But 28mm, it's also an M42 mount lens, so that's why I like that lens. The last lens is this 50mm f1.9, and this is a Carl Meyer lens. So I was able to find a little bit more information on this one. Shout out to the website I got this one from. I'll link it down in the description because I don't want to steal nobody's stuff. But based on what I found out, you might think that since you heard Carl Meyer, the first thing that comes to your mind is Carl Zeiss, but that's not necessarily the case with this lens. So I'm reading. This Carl Meyer lens was originally from a brand called Meyer Optic, which was founded by Hugo Meyer and Heinrich Schatze, I probably mispronounced that, in 1896 in Görlitz, Germany. While, and like I said, you may think of Carl Zeiss, but it actually wasn't made by Carl Zeiss, or he had nothing to do with it. But one of the developers who worked on Carl Zeiss lenses, Dr. Paul Rudolph, was coordinated with Hugo Meyer and Heinrich Schatze to make, the original Meyer Optic lenses in glass. These lenses were actually really, really high quality lenses. Really, really high quality lenses. And they actually won a couple of awards for the highest rating. They competed with Carl Zeiss, but they were a little bit cheaper. So Carl Zeiss lenses were top of the line, and then you had these, kind of like how it may be a Canon lens, and then you have Sigma and Tamron, cheaper, still good quality, kind of relationship you got going on there. Carl Zeiss eventually took over Meyer Optic and then dropped the quality. So they took over that company, but they weren't trying to compete with their own stuff, so they dropped the quality drastically, and they couldn't even find the equipment to keep making those lenses. However, we're talking about in Germany back in the day. So after the fall of communism, they separated from Zeiss, and another company took over in 1991 and started branding lenses Meyer Optic, Görlitz again. So it retained its original name that it had before it was taken over by Carl Zeiss, and it stayed that way from 2014 to 2018. Oh, rewind, my bad. Another company took over in 1991 and started branding the lenses Meyer Optic Görlitz. That's what happened. So ignore everything I just said. And they did that from 2014 to 2018. In 2018, OPC Europe took over and relaunched Meyer Optic, and eventually Meyer Optic manufactured its own lenses in Hamburg, Germany. So that's a little history about that lens. But this particular lens I have is the 50mm 1.8 Carl Meyer, and it has speed on it. I don't know what that means, but it's another manual lens, completely manual and I don't know what kind of mount this is, and I don't think I'm gonna buy a mount. I may buy a mount for it. This lens is not in such good shape. You can see a little bit of something going on with the lens element, but functionally, it works. And they work well with my camera, which is the R5, because I could use focus peaking to use them, and it makes it a lot easier to kind of focus on your subject. So I got two cases, a little one with a little butterfly or whatever that is on it. It's pretty neat. Also velvet looking type case, and the 135mm has a lens hood on it as well. So these are pretty neat lenses. Now you may be asking, how do I use these lenses on my camera? I was able to get a lens adapter for the M42 mount lenses, the 135 and the 28mm, and that is this right here. This is made by K&F Concepts. Comes in this nice little box, and it's to RF to M42 mount. Go figure that. Now I'm saying all this because I want new lenses, but I can't justify getting them. I got a pretty decent selection of lenses, and buying lenses is not by itself gonna make you a better photographer. So basically, you have lenses, work with those until you need another lens, until you require one. Like, you can't do anything without that lens. That's why people get like the 70-200, because they may have 50s and 35mm and whatever, and they want that reach, so they get that 70-200. But before you do all that, you may want to go check these shops out. Now, everybody's getting particular types of lenses when they go shopping for them. You may get Tamron and Sigma, but I paid $15 for 3 lenses with the little case. Now, granted, they older lenses, and I'm not going to use them like professionally, or maybe I will. I don't care. Whatever. I'll try it out. But $15, and I got 3 other lenses, vintage lenses that I can actually functionally use. So, long story short, don't be scared to go into them little shops, find lenses. I just picked them up. I wasn't considering how I was going to use it. I picked it up because I thought they looked neat. And then eventually I started doing some research. I was like, okay, M42 mount. Let's see if I can find a mount. Found the mount, and now I can use the lenses functionally, at least 2 of them. Once I figure out what this 50 mil lens uses, then I'll probably use that. But it's a screw mount. It doesn't have the little nib on it, so it's not an M42. I don't know what that is, but if you know what it is, I'll hit me up in the comment section and tell me what it is, because I don't know. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So 3 lenses, $15. He was gonna give me the whole bag. I didn't want the whole bag because it ended up being a bunch of junk. But bottom line, go check out your nearest antique store, see what kind of interesting things you find in there. And while you're at it, do some research on the lenses you get. It's interesting to kind of know the history behind this glass, where they come from. Sears, some Sears lens. Now, at the time, you probably wouldn't have bought it, but I think it's pretty neat. And like I said, the lens is pretty dope looking, quite frankly. But yeah, anyway, that's it. Just thought I'd share that. I'll hit you up next time, and hopefully it won't be another 3 months before I post another video. But thanks for your time. Peace out. Holler at you later.